SimsEclaire here and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are still doing our quote-unquote horror house series. However, I did want to take a break from super scary houses because I was really inspired to do this house after I watched Hocus Pocus. Now, if you watch my Baking with the Sims series, I talked about watching Hocus Pocus in one of those, and I had been sitting there like watching it, and I hadn't watched it all year. I know that you're kind of just like, well, of course you haven't watched it all year. It just turned October. No, you don't understand. I usually watch this movie, like, all year round. Whenever I can find it, I'm trying to watch it. I love Hocus Pocus. I have since I was young, so I'm always trying to watch it, but I haven't watched it since last October. So I put it on, and then I was really inspired, so I watched it again. And then I watched it a third time, and while I had it on for that third time, I was trying to figure out what to build, and so I decided to build the house from the family in Hocus Pocus. Now, with how many times I've watched it, you'd probably expect me to remember that family's name. I do not. I can't, and I'm totally kicking myself right now. In fact, I'm gonna Google this. Give me like 5 seconds, because I cannot believe I do not remember this family's name. They moved from California, and I know the little girl's name is Danny, but I cannot remember the son's name or the family's last name. Now my phone's going to take forever to do this. Pause this voiceover. Oh, Max Dennison. So the Dennison family. This is the Dennison family home. So if you haven't seen Hocus Pocus, I'm sorry for you. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, no, I'm not. I am sorry for you if you haven't seen Hocus Pocus. But basically, the premise of the story is that the Dennison family moves from Hollywood, California, and they move to Salem. I'm not saying the state that Salem is in because I can't pronounce it correctly, and it sucks because I used to want to live in Boston, but that was kind of like one of the determining factors. Everyone would always make fun of me and tell me that if I couldn't pronounce the state correctly, there's no way I could live in Boston, so I'm not even going to try. I really don't want to get butchered in the comment section, but they moved to Salem, and they start moving in October, and it's actually, the whole movie takes place in one day. It takes place on Halloween, and basically Salem in this movie has this lore or like this folk tale where there's this group of 3 witches, the Sanderson Sisters, and they had been hanged not during the Salem witch trials, but around the same time period, because they had kidnapped one of the town members' children, and that child was never seen again. And Zachary Binks, that was the older brother of the child that had never been seen again. He went to go save his sister, and they ended up turning him into a cat, which comes into the story a little bit later. But basically, Max Dennison and his family moved to this town around Halloween, and the whole town is set up for Halloween. It's set up for October. Everything's all spookified. They're telling all these scary stories in school, and he is like a total non-believer. He's like the typical surfer California dude. He doesn't want to be there. He wants to go back to Cali, blah, 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 blah. And he ends up having a rough time, actually. He asks this girl out, and she says no, and then he gets his sneakers stolen. But then he has to take his sister out trick-or-treating, and they end up going to the house where the girl he asked out lives. And her mom used to work at the Sanderson Sister Museum. So they end up going to the Sanderson Sisters Museum, and he lights the black flame candle. And because he's a virgin who lit it on a full moon, or I think it's a full moon, yeah, he ends up bringing the witches back to life. And now the witches have to get their spell book to take the souls of people in order to survive, because if they don't, at sunrise, the spell will wear off and they will cease to exist. So that's kind of that's like the main premise of the story. And basically the whole movie, Max kind of seems like a typical teenage brat, but his sister, honestly, the whole time I'm watching this movie now, like that I'm older, I kind of root for the witches to win, because his sister is a brat. Like, Danny, she's nice when she wants to be, but she's a total brat every time else. But basically, this is to the actual speed build, this is the Dennison family home, and I thought about doing the Sanderson sister home, but earlier this week, my Cabin in the Woods went up. If you haven't seen it, it'll be linked somewhere in this video, and I didn't want to do, even though I've been doing like houses every day this month, I didn't want to do 2 cabins in a row, and you also never really see the exterior of the Sanderson sisters home. You only get like really close-up shots of like the front door, and I didn't think that that would... I thought I'd have to input too much of my own ideas in order for it to actually, you know, work. Like, even in this house, a lot of it, we're going into the inside right now because the outside was a very basic shape, but the inside, you don't see any of the rooms except for this room briefly, the dining room briefly, before it's even all set up, because like I said, they are moving. And then you see the son's bedroom, and then that's pretty much it. But you get a general idea because you see some of the decorations that they're unpacking throughout the movie, and you see kind of the vibe of the rest of the town. It's a coastal town. It's very much... I'm pretty sure Brindleton Bay was based off of New England style towns here in America, and so it's very... I pretty much just took cats and dogs and just applied it to a fall setting. So I mixed a whole bunch of like seasons in there, and you saw like the kind of wood tones that they were using because you could see some of the furniture, so I tried to just base it off of that. But with something like but this is a family home, and it's super easy to make up things for family homes, but something like the Sanderson Sisters, where it's like a witch's home, and there is 2 floors technically, but you never even see the second floor, and it's all like these bare roof rafters and stuff like that. I really didn't want to try and figure it out and then butcher it. So that's why we went with this home. But like I said, this home, pretty much the kitchen and the living room are totally my own design. I'm not even quite sure if their layout is 100% correct. I do know though that you can get from the dining room to the kitchen because they do talk about that in the movie. So I know that the dining room and the kitchen are at least connected, and I assumed, because there's another entranceway on the other side of the dining room, I assumed that that led to the living room. So that's kind of how I pieced together the shape of this house. But right now we're just going into the kitchen. It ended up being a decent sized kitchen, so I put this little countertop over here just to give them a little bit more space. I also think that the only usable counter is on that side of the kitchen to begin with, so that's kind of nice. And then I do a little bit of a seating area here in the kitchen, just an informal one. There is 4 members to this family, the mom, the dad, and then Max and Danny. So I wanted to make sure that there was 4 seats at this table. And I also know, because there's one scene where they're searching through different cabinets, so I know that the counters are white, which is why I went with those Parenthood counters. I just thought that it was the only thing that I could get to match, because I didn't put any cabinets up. Even though in the movie the cabinets are white, I just totally spaced on putting any cabinets up. But as I also said, it is fall, it's October, and you can kind of see some different like decorations in the boxes that the parents are pulling out. So I assumed that they were in the process of decorating their house, so I did start adding in some fall decorations. This is probably my favorite fall decorated part of the house. This might even be my favorite part of the house. I just love what I did with these branches and the colors of the pumpkins and then the candles. I don't know, it just screams fall, and I wish my house was decorated like this, but me and my sister are so behind on decorating our house. We actually went to, like, we have some things up, like a couple of pumpkins here and there, but nothing is like what we wanted to do or what we've done in the past. And we actually went to Michael's today, which if you don't have Michael's near you, they're basically like this giant craft store. And we went into Michael's to go get some more stuff for fall, and they already have their Christmas stuff up. And I'm not even talking about just here and there, like there's a couple of random like ribbons or hollies. Like, they have their full-blown Christmas section up, and I'm so angry. Like, not only is it not even like it would be one thing if it was November and like they were just for that month, because usually people start decorating December 1st. Like, it'd be one thing if it was November, but it is October. It is even Halloween yet. We have to get through Halloween and Thanksgiving and then maybe start thinking about Christmas. So like, I'm like, why is all this stuff up? I don't understand. But needless to say, they had no more fall decorations, and me and my sister were really, really into getting some hay. But we didn't want to put it out because it's actually raining today, and I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow. And it's been raining a lot this month, so we didn't want to put it out and then get the hay all wet. But we decided to bite the bullet, and then they were out of their hay. So we're going to go to the tractor store tomorrow and see if they have any hay. and then start to try and plan it out that way. But yeah, so I forgot where that tangent went to. Oh, fall decorations. I wish my house looked how I decorated this house for fall. But needless to say, I do really like it. And then going into here, this is going to be the living room. This is mostly seasons. Now, I did throw in a couple of Eco Lifestyle and cats and dog things here and there, and I added a TV. They don't explicitly say that there's a TV in this house, but Max says something about a show, so I assumed that meant he at least had access to a TV, and considering his bedroom is the room that you see most in this house, and it doesn't have a TV in it, I assumed that that TV was downstairs in the living room. And then I placed a couple of packages here, and then I also end up placing a couple more boxes. You can see me going around and doing that now, kind of just more simulating the whole, they're still moving in, they have a whole bunch of stuff they have to figure out, because in the movie, not the first scene, but the first time you see this house, his parents are still unpacking boxes. Now later on that night, their dining room looks like it's completely unpacked, but like I said, you never see the rest of the house, so I assumed they were going room by room, and that even though the dining room was unpacked, the rest of it probably was still pretty, they probably had all their furniture, because those don't come in boxes, they get moved in like big moving trucks. So I assumed that their furniture was still completely intact, but they still had like boxes for all their decorations and stuff. But now we're going upstairs, and we're going to be doing the parents' bedroom and then the little girl's room, Danny's room, first. This is because these are the two rooms that you never actually see in the movie, so I kind of just wanted to get them out of the way so I could start focusing on how to do the kids' room. But I made the parents' room very similar to the downstairs. I did like a blue, white, and gray color scheme because I figured they were the ones decorating the downstairs, so obviously they would be, they'd have the same similar type of style. And then I placed a fall painting above their bed because I figured if they moved to Salem, they had to have a good reason, and they never mentioned anything about their parents' work. So I just went with they moved to Salem because they love fall, and Salem and the state that it's in, again, not saying it, are completely, it's almost always fall with how north that they are, so I assumed that they kind of went for a change of scenery, a change of weather from, typical California. But it could just be that one of them got a new job. I honestly have no idea. They don't go that into depth. But real quickly, you saw me do the bathroom, and that was initially supposed to be an ensuite, but I ended up moving the door, so now it is accessible through the hallway, which is probably a good thing because Max has a bathroom in his room, but his sister doesn't, so it's probably a good thing that that bathroom is accessible through the hallway. And speaking of that, Max has a large room. Like, if you watch the movie, his bedroom is huge. It takes up, the whole back half of the house, which is why, except in the movie, I think it's technically off to the side. But in The Sims, it ended up being in the back. But I was like, as I was building it, I was like, this is so big. Why did he get such a big room? But anyway, this is going to be his sister's Danny room, and same thing with the parents. You don't get to see it, but you do get to see a lot of Danny, so I kind of tried to go off of her personality. She really loves Halloween, and I feel her on that one. She's completely dressed up head to toe as one of the Sanderson sisters, and she's super into the whole Halloween thing, going out to get candy, listening to all the stories. So I kind of went with, even though it's lighter tones, I kind of went with yellow, black, and red to kind of bring fall colors into her bedroom because I figured she'd be super into it. And then I did this little seating area over here, and I'm just shrinking down these Discover University chairs to act as pillows to give this little section some color because there wasn't anything over here. It was all the white wood furniture. And then I also add those butterflies. She's a very social kid, so I figured she had a whole bunch of friends, had a whole bunch of stuff, that she had collected. And then over here is Max's room. So in the movie, Max's room actually has a winding staircase that leads up to the tower on the fourth floor or third floor, but the tower doesn't have anything in it. It's just a seating area. But I couldn't get the stairs to work here, so I just did a ladder. So the ladder's where the stairs are in the movie, but I couldn't get the stairs to work because there just wasn't enough space for how stairs work in The Sims. And then before you all yell at me about this wallpaper, he has sailboat wallpaper on his walls, and it is yellow. It's not this vibrant, but it is yellow, so that's why I went with this one, even though it looks so bad here in the game. But he also has a drum set in his room, but we don't have drums, so I went with the keyboard just to kind of simulate how he likes to play his music. And then besides that, I'm just placing a whole bunch of clutter around because his room is rather messy. But I hope you all enjoyed this one. Please leave a like if you love Hocus Pocus as much as I do, and be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye!